Hello dear students, this is Raksha Shetty and you're watching Edubassa, your homely learning channel. So today in this video, let's focus on the chapter called as Control and Coordination of your 10th Biology. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So in this chapter, we'll cover the introduction part, the animal, and it includes the nervous system and what happens in the reflex actions. Under the introduction part, we will be going to learn about the growth versus movement, why do organisms live, what is the meaning of the controlled movement, and role of systems in coordination as well as specialized tissues. And under the animal nervous system, we are going to learn how do we detect stimuli and how the transmission of the nervous impulse is going to take place and what is the meaning of synapse and what is the function of the nervous tissue. So let's get into the video. So first, the introduction part of it. So we know that in the previous chapter, which is nothing but the life process, we already learned that some of the activities which is taking place in the body of the organism to keep the organism alive is said to be life process, isn't it? So it is basically in our head that when there is some sort of movement that is going to take place in any of the organisms, we will consider that organism to be alive. Am I right? Obviously, yes. So if there is some sort of movement, so we consider that particular organism to be alive. For example, if I have to take the example of, one second, yeah, just imagine a plant. Okay, this is a plant basically. Pardon my drawing skills, but yeah. So just imagine this is a plant. So the plant basically comes out from where? From the seed, isn't it? The seed basically pushes the soil and it will come out and grow into a new plant. So the plant doesn't move from one place to another, but this movement is there. What is that movement called? The seed that will basically come out of the soil into a new plant. So that movement is basically there. So what is that movement? That movement is basically what? The growth, isn't it? Yes. So the movement, sometimes it is related to growth and sometimes it is not related to growth. Okay, so not all the movement is basically the growth, but not all the growth is basically the movement. I'm sorry for using basically a lot of times, please pardon. Yes. Okay, so let us concentrate on movements due to growth. Seed germinating, as I mentioned before, the seed germinating, the basically the seed will be pushing out the soil and it will be coming out into a new plant. So the seed is germinating. So that movement is basically due to the growth. Yes. And the plant bending towards the sunlight. Why do the plant bend towards the sunlight? Because the sunlight is the most important factor to undergo the photosynthesis process, isn't it? To prepare its own food. Yes. So it basically bends towards where? Towards the sunlight. So the growth is going to take place towards the sunlight. So this movement is related to that of the growth, but there are also some sort of movement which is not related to that of the growth. For example, the cat is running. Just imagine there is one cat sitting and it suddenly sees one mouse and it goes behind that mouse, isn't it? It goes behind that mouse in order to catch the mouse. For the purpose of the food, or might be it is excited, it gets happiness in order to catch the mouse. So basically what can we say, it is getting some sort of benefit from the mouse, so for that reason it is running, but it is no way related to that of the growth. It is no way related to that of the growth, but the movement is still there. So this movement is not due to the growth. The children playing, consider the children is using the swinging. Okay, there's one kid who is basically swinging. So why he swinging? Because he is getting some sort of pleasure from it. For that reason he is what? He's swinging, right? But that is not considered as growth. Yes. The buffalo chewing cud. The buffalo is chewing the cud. Why it is chewing the cud? Because in order to undergo the proper digestion, isn't it? So it is eating the cud because in order to undergo the proper digestion. So it is getting what? It is getting some sort of benefit from the food. It is getting the energy from the food. So am I right? So for the purpose of the digestion, it is basically chewing, because if the food has to go inside the body of the buffalo, the chewing is must. Yes. So it is getting some sort of benefit from it, but it is not related to the growth. But the movement is still there. The movement is still there. It is chewing. There is movement in the muscles of the mouth. So the movement is still be there. Correct? Yes. Next. Why do organisms move? Why do organisms move? To respond to changes in the environment. Just imagine there is one cat. Okay. This is one cat. This is one cat. It is sitting in one particular place. Okay. There is no changes in its environment. There is no changes uh, in the environment at this point of time. So it is basically sitting quietly. Now what happens? Suddenly one mouse arrives. Will the cat sit quietly? Still, obviously no. It will go behind the mouse. This is the mouse base. Okay. So it will go behind the mouse. Why? In order to catch that mouse. In order to catch that mouse, or in order to eat that mouse. Might be for the purpose of pleasure, might be it is for the purpose of food because it is hungry. Okay, you never know, it might be for the purpose of pleasure, or it might be because it is hungry, right? So suddenly some changes has been taken place in front of the cat. So for that reason it is what it is doing, it is responding to the change that is taking place in front of it, which is nothing but the mouse came in front of it. Earlier there were nothing in front of the cat, hence the cat didn't respond anything. But suddenly the changes has been taken place in the surrounding. The mouse had come in front of it. For that reason it is running behind the mouse, might be for the purpose of pleasure, might be for the purpose of the food. So that sudden changes that is taking place in the environment, for that reason what the cat is being moved. So why do the organism move? Because to respond to the changes that is taking place in the environment. Okay. For the protection and advantage, yes. So it is getting some advantage from it, it is getting some benefit from it. Or if for example this mouse, when this cat is running behind the mouse, will the mouse stay quietly? Even mouse's environment is also changed now, isn't it? There is also sudden change in the environment of the mouse. So some cat is coming towards it in order to eat it, or in order to play with it, or in order to basically trouble it. So for that reason, in order to protect itself, it will move. It will move, isn't it? So basically for the protection as well as for the advantage. I hope it is clear. For example, the hand pulls back after touching something hot. When you touch something hot, what happens? When you touch something hot, will you keep your hand on the hot pot for several hours? Obviously no. You will suddenly take your hand from you will lift your hand from the hot pan. So that is because some changes has been taken place in your surrounding. In order to protect yourself, what you're doing, you're going to take suddenly the hand from the hot pan. The plants grow towards the sunlight. So in order, if because it has to grow, isn't it? The plant has to grow. So for the purpose of the growth, it is going to grow towards where? Towards the sunlight. And the buffaloes chew cut to help the digestion. So buffaloes, for the purpose of the digestion, for the purpose of the digestion, it is going to what? It is going to chew the cut. So it is getting some sort of benefit, isn't it? Here for the purpose of the production, here it is getting benefit, here again it is getting benefit. So why do the organisms move? Because in order to respond to the changes that is taking place in the environment, and for the purpose of the protection, in order to protect itself, or in order to get something from the movement. Okay, for the advantage. Next is controlled movement. So likewise I said all this movement is taking place in your body. For why? In order to protect yourself, or in order to get the advantage, isn't it? So all this movement is basically controlled movement, that is being controlled by the system which is present in the body. Okay, so that system is basically which one? Brain. Okay, that system is basically which one? The brain. For example, just consider The class is going on and the teacher like me is teaching you. What happens? Will you speak loudly in the class? Obviously no. You will whisper because you know the teacher is present. If you speak loudly, the teacher will beat you or she will scold you, isn't it? For that reason, you will start whispering. This is the control movement because the information is sent to the brain that you have to whisper, not to speak loudly because the teacher is present. The cruel eye outward is present, isn't it? Yes. Okay. So for that reason, what you have to do, you have to whisper. So that is basically what? Controlled movement. All movements are not random, they are controlled. So whatever the movements that you're taking place is not random. They're controlled by some system which is present in our body. Okay. A change in the environment causes a reaction. So we have already discussed about this. When there is some sort of changes that is taking place in the environment, you suddenly react to the change, isn't it? For example, if you are touching the hot pan, just imagine this is some hot pan. Okay. When you touch the hot pan, what you will do? Will you keep on touching? No, because it is hot, isn't it? So you suddenly take your hand from the pot. That is sudden reaction. I mean, some reaction you're giving, isn't it? So when there is change in the environment, that causes a reaction. Next is role of systems in coordination. See, in order to undergo this controlled movement, there must be system present in our body. So that system is basically central nervous system. That system is basically central nervous system. So basically there are two types of systems in our body. One is central nervous system, one is peripheral nervous system. What is it? One is central nervous system, one more is peripheral nervous system. Under the central nervous system, the brain is present as well as the spinal cord is present. Under the peripheral nervous system, the nerves are present. Okay, so these nerves are connected. I mean, it is present throughout the body. It is present throughout the body. Okay, it is present where? Throughout the body, and it is also connected to this brain, and it is also connected to the spinal cord. The one which is connected to the brain is called as cranial nerve. The one which is connected to the brain is called as cranial nerve, and the one which is connected to the spinal cord is called as spinal nerve. Okay, spinal nerve. Clear? So this nerve is basically present all over the body. Okay, so from the sense organs you need to get the information to the brain, isn't it? For that reason the nerve is present all over the body, and that nerve is basically connected to the brain as well as the spinal cord. The one which is connected to the brain is called as cranial nerve, and the one which is connected to the spinal cord is called as spinal nerve. I hope it is clear. Fine. Okay, why do these organisms need the systems? Because in order to detect some changes that is taking place in the environment, and when the changes is taking place, that information need to be informed to your brain so that you can respond properly. For example, the same example I'm giving. If I'm touching the hot pan, so what happens? Some changes has been taken place. I have touched the hot pan, isn't it? So your skin is detecting the change. Your skin is basically detecting the change. Now the change is traveled through the nerves. That change, the information is being traveled through the nerves, and the information through the spinal cord, it is processed where? In the brain. Okay, so you can respond, which obviously you're going to learn further how exactly it is going to take place. So this is basically control and coordination. The control is done by the brain, and it basically coordinates all of the organs of your body. So this brain tells the organs to coordinate in order to protect yourself or to undergo some sort of movement, so that some you will get the benefit from it. Clear? Yes. Next is the specialized tissue. So the specialized tissue which is present in the multicellular organisms. The specialized tissue are used for the coordination, as we said. Central nervous system is present, peripheral nervous system is present. Central nervous system includes the brain as well as the spinal cord, the brain as well as spinal cord, and the peripheral nervous system includes the nerves, isn't it? Now there are basically two systems. One is nervous system, one more is endocrine system. Nervous system includes nervous system includes neuron, whereas the endocrine system includes the hormones. Okay, so in this chapter you are going to learn about the neuron as well as hormones in detail. Clear? Yes. So let's get into the main topic, which is the nervous system. As I said, the human body undergoes control and coordination by a system. Not only human body, the animals. That is basically the nervous system. That is basically the nervous system. In this, you are going to learn about what? You are going to learn about neuron, which is nothing but nerve cell. Nerve cell. See, in the life process chapter, we have already discussed what we have already discussed, that there are several systems which is present in our body. For example, respiration system, excretion system, circulatory system, isn't it? So those systems will be having particular organs. For example, in the case of respiratory system, we have lungs. In the case of excretory system, we are having kidney. In the case of circulatory system, we are having heart, isn't it? The same way, in our animals, there is one more system. That system is basically nervous system. So the nervous system is nothing but it is a organ system. What is it? It is a organ system. So this nervous system includes the organ. What is the organ? Brain as well as spinal cord. The brain as well as spinal cord. For example, if I'm just doing it roughly, if this is brain, so backside to it there is a spinal cord which is present inside to your vertebral column. Okay, vertebral column. So vertebral column is nothing but your bone, backbone. Okay, your backbone. So inside to which the spinal cord is present, which comes out from the brain itself. Both are made up of the same tissue. It is a part of the brain itself. Clear? Okay. So this nervous system includes the organ which is brain as well as spinal cord. The same. For example, if I'm taking the example of the respiratory organ system, the organ what is present there? Lungs. The same way in the nervous system, the organ which is present is brain as well as spinal cord. Now this brain as well as spinal cord is made up of the tissue which is that nervous tissue. It is made up of a tissue which is that nervous tissue, and this nervous tissue is made up of the cell. What is that cell? That cell itself is a neuron, or we call it as a nerve cell. What do we call it as? Nerve cell. And remember, it is the longest cell of the body. Longest cell, longest in the sense width. Okay, it is the longest cell of the human body, which is the longest cell, nerve cell, which we also call it as neuron. So in this chapter we are going to learn about this neuron in detail. Next is, how do we detect the stimuli? Okay, so before knowing how do we detect the stimuli, let us know the words stimulus as well as the receptors. Okay, one second. So stimulus. See, so there are some changes that is taking place in the environment. We already told that there will be some changes that will be taking place in the environment, which uh, in response to which we will undergo some kind of response, isn't it? So these changes in the environment is nothing but the touch, the sound, the light, the pain. Okay, the touch is sensed by the sensory organ, which is the skin. Sound is sensed by our ear. The light is sensed by the eyes. The pain is sensed by the skin again. Getting my point? So all these changes, all these changes in the environment can be felt by our body. So that is basically stimulus to our body. That is basically what? Stimulus to our body. So these are the stimulus: touch, sound, light, pain, etc. These are basically what? The stimulus. Next is receptors. What are receptors? They are the sensor to our body. In order to sense all these things, there are particular receptors present in our body. Okay, so basically in the sensory organs there are particular receptors. In order to feel this, in order to what it is in order to feel the stimulus. So that is nothing but the receptors. For example, in the tongue, in order to taste, there is gustatory receptor. In order to smell, there is olfactory receptor. This is important. Okay, this is important. The tongue, in order to taste, there is gustatory receptor. In order to smell, there is olfactory receptor. In the case of the what stimulus, a sound. So the stimulus sound, which is felt by the ear, there is phonoreceptor. In the case of the light, the stimulus is the eyes, the stimulus is light. The receptor is photoreceptor. In the case of skin, the stimulus is if the stimulus is touch as well as temperature, there is thermal receptor. If the stimulus is pain, there is nociceptor. So these are the receptors which will basically what take up the information from the stimulus to the nerves. Okay, they will take up the information from the stimulus to that of the nerves. So these are the receptors. So this is important in order to detect the stimuli. In order to detect the stimuli. Okay. So stimuli is basically what? Plural. Stimulus is basically the singular part of it. Okay, fine. So we already told nerve cell, isn't it? Nerve cell. What is nerve cell? Cell which is made up of the which tissue? Nervous tissue. The nervous tissue is made up of a what? Nerve cell, which is the largest cell. You can see it is very long. I'm sorry, it is not largest, it is longest. Okay, it is the longest cell, correct? So this is the structure of the stimulus, important. Structure of neuron, very important, very important. So let me discuss about the structure of the neuron. So it has a part, branched part. It is called as dendrite. What do we call it as? Dendrite. Inner to which there is cytoplasm present. What do we call it as? Cytoplasm. Cytoplasm, or simply we call it as neuroplasm. What do we call it as? Neuroplasm. Okay, so there is one more branch which is basically elongated branch. So this is wrong. Okay, I'm so sorry. This is not the cell body. This is the cell body. This is the cell body. This is the cell body, or cyton or soma. We call it as cyton or soma. So this is the longest branch, which is nothing but the axon. So sometimes this axon is covered by a sheath which is called as myelin sheath. What do we call it as? Myelin sheath. What do we call it as? Myelin sheath. So ending of which there is a nerve ending. What is present? Nerve ending is present, or simply we call it as axon ending because it is present at the end of the axon, right? So it is also called as axon ending. Don't confuse. So whenever they ask the question regarding the axon ending, axon ending, which is nothing but the nerve ending itself. Do not get confused with this. Okay. So this is the structure of the neuron. The parts are dendrite, the nucleus, cytoplasm or neuroplasm. So the elongated branch, which is nothing but called as axon. So this entire part is called as cell body or cyton or soma. At the end of the axon, there is nerve ending, or simply we call it as axon ending. Clear? Yes. Okay. Now, what is synapse? The gap between the neurons. So you already learned about the neuron, isn't it? How the neurons are present. So if, for example, if this is the neuron, I'm drawing it roughly. Okay. So I'm so sorry. One second. Let me do it properly. I draw better, students. Okay, please don't go with this diagram. I draw actually better. Do not judge me with this drawing. I actually draw it better. Yes, okay. So if this is one axon, if this is one neuron, one more neuron will be present here. Okay, I am doing it roughly here now. one more neuron will be present here. Okay, it is connected like this. So the information passes from here to here, from here to here, from here to here, and then finally through the spinal cord to that of the brain. Okay, understood? Getting my point. Now, what is synapse? What is synapse? The gap between the neuron. This is neuron, this is neuron, this is neuron, this is neuron. There is some gap, very small gap, basically the microscopic gap. What? The microscopic gap. So there will be a microscopic gap present over here in between the adjacent neuron. In between the adjacent neuron there will be the microscopic gap that is being present, so which is called as synapse. What do we call it as? Synapse. It is a very small gap, very tiny gap which is present in between the adjacent neuron or the nerve cell, which we call it as a synapse. Okay, fine. What is the function of the synapse? They help transfer electrical impulse using chemical signals, which we will discuss later. Okay, allows quick and one-way transfer of messages. So it will help to transfer the message in a single way, one way. You can see one way and quickly, which we are going to learn further. Okay, do not worry about that. We will definitely go to learn about it. So this is synapse. Okay, what is this? This is the gap. Okay, this is the gap between the what is this? This is basically the nerve ending. Okay, nerve ending. So what is this? This is basically what? The dendrite. Dendrite. Okay, so the gap that is called as synapse. This is the gap which is called as synapse. Okay, fine. So know about this as well. There is one more term which is present in an NCERT syllabus called as neuromuscular junction, or simply we call it as NMJ. What is NMJ? Synapse, you already know. What is synapse? It is the gap, very tiny or the microscopic gap between the adjacent neuron, whereas the neuromuscular junction is nothing but when the nerve ending, what is this? This is what? This is nerve ending. When the nerve ending comes in contact with that of the muscle, when it comes, this is muscle, okay, this is the muscle. So when it comes in contact with the muscle, this point of contact is called as what? NMJ, or neuromuscular junction. Nerve ending, you know, if this is the, I'm just doing it roughly, so if this is the neuron, this is the nerve ending part of it, right? So at the nerve ending part of it, when this nerve end gets in contact with that of the muscle, so this point of contact is called as neuromuscular junction, or simply we call it as NMJ. Okay, I hope it is clear. Fine. Now, how the nervous impulse is transmitted. What do you mean by nervous impulse? It is nothing but the information. Okay, the information, the nerve signal. Okay, the signal. So how it is being transported, you already know. Basically what happens in the stimulus is taken up by the receptor which is present in the sensory organ. From there, through the neuron it is going to transmit. Okay, so you know that through the neuron it is going to transmit. So how it is going to transmit, we will learn. Say, okay, what is this neuron? So for example, just imagine I'm taking the example of a hot pan again. So I am touching the hot pan. My hand is in directly contact with that of the hot pan. When my hand is in directly with that of the hot pan, what is the stimulus here? Tell me. Yes, tell me. I'll give you time. Yes, exactly. Very good. What is the stimulus? The heat is the stimulus here. What is the stimulus? The heat is the stimulus. Which sensory organ is in directly contact here? The skin is in directly contact. Which is the receptor present in the skin in order to take up the heat? Thermoreceptor. Am I right? Which receptor? Thermoreceptor. Now from the thermoreceptor, the information about this heat will be passing. Where it will be passing? To the neuron. It will be passing to the neuron. It will be passing. First, what happens? The information is passed, taken up by the tip of the dendrite. What is this? Dendrite is taken up by the tip of the dendrite. Now from this, the information passes to the what cell body passes to the cytoplasm. So in the cytoplasm, what will be present? Many of the ions will be present. Many of the ions will be present. Which are the ions? Potassium ions, sodium ions. So basically, many of the ions will be present. Now what happens? These ions will undergo what? They will undergo some sort of movement. They will undergo some sort of movement. So when they are moving, physics, when the ions move, what happens? Electricity is generated. So what happens? The electrical signal will be generated. What signal? Electrical signal. What signal? Electrical signal will be generated. Now this electrical signal will pass through this axon. Now it will pass through this axon and it will reach where? To the nerve ending, or simply we call it as axon ending. Okay, axon ending. It will reach where? To the nerve ending. Now from the nerve ending, it will again has to reach to the another another neuron. Now as I told you already, there is a gap present in between the two adjacent neurons. Am I right? The gap is present. What is that gap called? I'll give you time. Yes, tell me. Synapse. Yes. What is the gap present called? Synapse. Since the gap is present, how will the information it will be sent to the next neuron? How? It is because after reaching to the nerve ending or the axon ending, which one? The electrical signal, they will release chemicals. They will release a chemical. That chemical is called as neurotransmitters. What do we call that chemical as? Neurotransmitters. Now through these neurotransmitters, the chemicals will be liberated. Now these chemicals will go to where? To the dendrite of the next neuron, to the dendrite, tip of the dendrite of the next neuron. From the nerve ending, through the neurotransmitters, the information is sent to where? To the dendrite of the next neuron. I hope it is clear. I hope it is clear. Understood how the information? Then from here to again next neuron, from there again to next neuron, then finally to where? To the spinal cord, and finally to where? To the brain. I hope this concept is clear. Okay, now you understood, isn't it? I told you I will explain about this part. Helps transfer electrical impulse, synapse, isn't it? Synapse will help to transfer the electrical impulse using the chemical signals. The chemicals will be generated. What is that chemicals called? Neurotransmitters. From that the information is sent to the dendrite of the next neuron. Then again it will pass, it will come here, which is this is the nerve ending. Now from the nerve ending through the neurotransmitters, again it will pass to the dendrite of the next neuron. Again nerve ending, again dendrite, nerve ending, dendrite. Then spinal cord, from the spinal cord to the brain. Okay. Fine. Yes. So this is how the nerve impulse is transmitted. So this is whatever I have explained. I have given in this slide. Okay. Next is the function of the nervous tissue. What is the function of the nervous tissue? Nervous tissue is made up of several neurons, isn't it? It is made up of several neurons. What neuron helps? It carries information as which signals? Electrical signals. It carries information here as electrical signals, isn't it? Yes. It helps in the control as well as coordination. It helps in the coordination as well as control of the what? Control of the organs. So when you are touching the heart pan, if you are touching the heart pan, the nervous impulse will be transported through this neuron to the brain, isn't it? To the brain, through the spinal cord to that of the brain. Then from the again, after that the information has been processed, then the response is given by the brain through this same neuron to where? To the muscles, so that in order to remove your hand. So hence it helps for the control as well as the coordination. Yes. Next is the next topic. I hope about the neuron part is clear, about the nervous system everything is clear. The next topic is about what happens during reflex action. What happens during the reflex action? Now before knowing what happens during reflex action, tell me, what do you mean by reflex action? What is the meaning of reflex action? So reflex action, reflexing, sudden, Okay, reflex in the sense the sudden response to something that is taking place in the environment. For example, if you're touching the hot pan, suddenly removing your hand from the hot pan, isn't it? You're suddenly lifting your hand from the hot pan. So that is basically what the sudden response to something that is taking place in the environment is called as what? The reflex actions. It is called as what? The reflex actions. Happens without thinking. Will you think? No, automatically you will do. When you're touching the hot pan, will you think for a while? Oh, my hand is touching to the hot pan. Oh, it is getting hot. Oh, I need to remove the hand. Will you think for a longer time? No, if you think for a longer time, what happens? It will get hurt. Your what skin will burn, isn't it? For that reason, it will be going to happen without thinking. It is an automatic response. It is a automatic response. The reflex action is a sudden response. Okay. For example, jumping away from an hot object or mouth watering at a food smell. So when biryani is made at home, biryani, oh my god, biryani. Oh my god, मेरे मुंह में भी पानी आ रहा है guys. Okay, biryani. Oh, my mouth is watering. I think I need to make biryani today and I want to eat it. Okay, anyways. Biryani. See, biryani. So when the biryani is made at home by your mother, without looking at the biryani, your mouth is going to water, isn't it? And even by looking at the food, looking at the smell of it, what happens? Your mouth is going to, water. Will you think during that time? No. It is a sudden activity that is going to take place, isn't it? So this is basically what? The reflex action. What is this? Reflex action. I hope it is clear. Okay. So we learned what is the meaning of reflex action. Okay, what is reflex action? The fast and automatic response to the stimulus. It is done without conscious thought. We will not think. You will not think for a longer time. It is taking place suddenly without thinking. Okay, and it helps to protect from the danger. Very good. Yes, yes. It helps to protect you from the danger. Yes. The path of the reflex action. So, how the reflex action takes place? What is the path of it? So, we are going to learn. So, before that, I will explain you with the help of the diagram. So, this is the diagram of how the reflex action is going to take place. Okay. So, this is the example of the same OG example. What is it? Hot pan example. Yes. So, there is this guy. So, he's touching the hot pan. Am I right? Now, tell me. Hot. Hot in a sense, heat. Which is the stimulus? Heat is the stimulus. Am I right? Which is the stimulus? Heat is the stimulus. Which is the receptor in order to take up the heat? Thermoreceptor. Yes, very good. Thermoreceptor. Now the heat or the pain is taken up by the receptor which is present in the skin, which is thermoreceptor. Now the information, the nervous impulse will pass through the neuron. The first neuron is which neuron? Sensory neuron. So basically there are three neurons present. There are three neurons present in order to detect something. So first neuron is sensory neuron. First neuron is sensory neuron. Okay, the information is sent through the sensory neuron and then it will reach to the next neuron is called as relay neuron. Which is the next neuron? Relay neuron. Okay, next information is sent to the relay neuron. This relay neuron is also called as interneuron. What do we call it as? Interneuron. Okay, this relay neuron is also called as interneuron. Okay, this interneuron is present where? It is present in the spinal cord. The brain is present here. This interneuron or the relay neuron is present where? In the spinal cord. Okay, central nervous system. The central nervous system includes what? Spinal cord as well as brain. So the spinal cord, the interneuron or the relay neuron is present where? In the spinal cord. Now what happens? Now through this, the spinal cord. The information was only received by the spinal cord. It will not reach to the brain. Why it is not reaching to the brain? Why it is only reaching to the spinal cord? Because if it reaches to the brain, more thinking is required. So if you think that much, slowly what happens? What happens if you think for a longer time? your hand will burn. So you need sudden response, isn't it? You need sudden response. Your hand must be removed from the hot pan, otherwise your hand is going to burn. So for that reason, the information is not sent to the brain, but the spinal cord itself will process the information and suddenly it will take up the information and send that to the motor neuron, the third type of neuron. What is it? Motor neuron. The information is sent to the next neuron. What is it? Motor neuron. Now from the motor neuron, it is going to reach to the effector. What is the effector present over here? The muscle which is present in the arm. The muscle which is present in the arm. So it is going to reach where? To the muscle which is present in the arm. Okay. So now the motor neuron will tell the hand to what? To undergo the lifting. What happens? The lifting of the hand is done in order to protect your hand from burning. In order to protect your hand from burning. I hope this is clear. This is called as reflex action, the sudden activity. So this is the path followed by the reflex action, and that path is called as reflex arc. What do we call it as? The path followed by the nervous impulse, the path followed by the information. Why? In order to undergo what? Reflex action, in order to suddenly take up your hand. Not only the hand, if anything, okay, it might be anything. The three neurons will be the same: sensory neuron, relay neuron, and motor neuron. Okay, understood. Then the motor neuron will send the information to the effector. Which is the effector in this case? The muscle which is present in the arm. Clear. So this is basically the path followed is called as what? The reflex arc. Important. The path followed is called as reflex arc. Okay, fine. So this is how it is going to take place. I hope it is clear. Now you might think, what, ma'am? Then the message is not sent to the brain. Yes, the message is sent to the brain, but later on. Yes, after you take away your hand, the message is sent to the brain, because you should not do the same mistake again and again, isn't it? Isn't it? So after 3 or 4 months, it must be in your head. Okay, if I touch the pan, it is going to hurt me. It is going to hurt me. So that information is sent to the brain. The information of the pain will be sent to the brain. Okay, you will get a pain after touching suddenly. Oh, you will be like, oh my God, it did hurt me. Okay, that information is sent to the brain. Okay, clear? Okay, then you will not do the same mistake again and again. Alva, isn't it? Yes, you will not do the same mistake again and again. Okay. So this is the same thing which is written, the path. First the stimulus, what is present? Heat, which is the receptor present in the skin, thermal receptor, and the information is taken up by the sensory neuron, and that is carried to the spinal cord. That information is taken up by the one more receptor. What is that receptor called? Neuron called interneuron, or simply we call it as relay neuron. Where it is present? It is present in the spinal cord. It will process and sends direct sudden response. The information is not sent to the brain. The information is sent to the motor neuron. Then it carries information to the effector. The effector here is hand muscle. The hand muscle is what? Pulls away. Hand muscle is pulled away. Clear? Yes. Very easy now. Easy peasy. Okay. The only thing is nothing but you have to remember, you have to understand the concept. Then everything is very much easier. You are only making everything complex. Otherwise, it is very easy. This chapter is really easy. Okay. You shouldn't make anything complex. You just think in your mind that it is easy. Then it will be easy. Okay. First understand the concept, then try to tell it in your own words. Okay, fine. So reflex arc, as I said, the path that is followed by the nerve impulse during the reflex action. So during the reflex action, the path the nerve impulse follows. So that is basically reflex arc. What it involves? The nerve. The information is sent through the neuron. Then it will go to the spinal cord. Then it will be information will be sent to the muscle. So all this is involved. Clear? Okay, that's it. That's it for today, my dear students. Thank you very much. Okay, that's it for today. Let's meet again in the next video. Please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Until then, keep watching, keep learning, and do not forget to enjoy while learning. Okay, bye. See you.